So, your car radio is having trouble. You hit a bump, it turns off. Hit a bump, it turns back on. What do you do? Well, today I'm going to be going over the steps to diagnosing your radio and showing you how to fix at least what was wrong with my radio. Just like I described there, I was driving, I hit something. Felt like a big rock slammed up into the bottom of the car, and then all of a sudden, my radio just cut out. And if I hit a bump, it comes back. Hit another bump, goes away. So obviously, there's a wire short somewhere. So how do you locate, where this short could be, and what's the best action to actually get it fixed? Is it tough? Well, we'll go over that now.
Got a little hasty and I forgot to really go over the steps. So the first thing I did, which you don't have to do this, it's not exactly kosher, but I happen to have a cheap head unit already laying around, and so I decided before I really dug out a bunch of my tools and everything that I would just, kind of slightly wire in the new head unit and just turn the key and see if that would do anything.
Okay, so previous owner has a lot of solder points on the wires. So all I do is peel back the tape and just tape the wires to a new head unit and turn the key just to see if the new head unit would turn on, and it doesn't. So we have now verified that the problem is not the head unit. So next what I'm going to do is I have a tool here and I have it grounded out. I'm going to remove the tape on each of the cables to the radio and see if I have power coming into the power wire, power coming into the ignition wire, and if the ground is working. Okay, so as you can see here, it lights up when I touch it. So there is power coming into the ignition wire. And as you can see here, there is power coming into the power wire. So the last thing to check is the ground. So I've got my alligator clip on there, and what I'm going to do is touch it to power down here. And I'm getting nothing. So the issue is the grounding. Okay. So what's lucky for me is that there was a point down here at the ground that was just twisted together and electrical taped. So somebody at some point soldered it here, but another person at another point just twisted it there, because I can't believe that the same person who soldered this joint just twisted together that joint and taped it. But either way, I verified that the ground isn't working coming from the harness, and it is a rat's nest of electrical connectors and whatnot back there. So since we're dealing with the ground, I'm going to go a really easy route. I'm just going to attach a bit of wire to this, and I'm going to ground this out. Now, usually you can do that just to the car chassis. I have actually I've seen on some of these radios, because there's screws attached here, where somebody has just taken this bit of wire and wrapped it around the screw and then just screwed it in. You can do that. That's not really a super secure way. I mean, at least like put a connector with a little circle end on it, and then put the screw through that to hold it more securely. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of wire on this and extend it to this little fuse box that I have added in the back, since that's a really easy and clear-cut way of getting a really nice ground. So just got to get a bit of wire, and it's going to still keep all the wiring here and easy without me having to take apart the dashboard or anything. Okay, so I have a bit of wire here, which I put a nice connector on, put it on my ground bar on my little fuse box, and I wrapped it around the ground wire for the radio, just as a test. And as soon as I did that, even with the car off, I heard the radio go as if it were gaining the access to power. Because you got to remember, these things do get power 24/7, but the ignition wire tells it to turn on and off. So it's off, and I'm gonna turn the key now to the on position, and she's back on. So now I'm going to button up this wire a little bit more cleanly. You know, I don't like twisting wire together and wrapping it with electrical tape like the previous guy, although a lot of this wire needs work. I'm just gonna tackle it as it comes. I'm not gonna redo all of this right now. I don't have the time for that.
And there you have it. My radio is just having an issue with the ground. I would say that's probably one of the easier things to fix. But could be different on yours. So just to recap, the first thing you want to check is the ignition and the power wires. Which, signal comes in from ignition to tell the radio to turn on, and obviously power wires for power. So if either one of those are not getting power, then that's your problem. And if it's the ground, as you saw, pretty simple. Just find somewhere else to ground out the wire if you really don't want a hassle with trying to diagnose the original wiring harness. And in my opinion, if it's just a ground issue, it is way simpler just to make a new ground wire. You can ground that out anywhere in the car that there is access to metal that is attached to the chassis in some way. And in my case, I had that fuse box, so super easy fix. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped you out, and it's been Postal 268.